guess, annual, what is it, review in lieu of an AFR?
Audit in lieu of the AFR.
It's due at the same time that your AFR is due. No, at the same time, but we missed that, so we actually got an extension to the not being due till the 30th of June. And I just didn't like cutting it so close, you know, because it's tough for us to budget when we don't even have last year's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not really-
yeah, we can revisit that.
But there's got to be a good reason for it. What else you got?
That's all I had. Just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Did you get that notice in that opioid?
Yes, I got yours, so I printed that off, so now I won't go around asking everybody, does anybody know what this check's for?
Just cash it.
Yeah. Go in the treasurer fund, so we can't forget.
Now I'll send you every time I get a notice.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think you're the only one that gets it, so.
Yeah, I am. I'm on that board.
Oh,
Vote. I have a meeting Tuesday.
and I kinda wondered if we shouldn't get a sympathy card together or something for
Sean?
Yellowstone County.
Yeah, I think we
I was
should.
thinking, yeah, so.
Okay.
Who's gonna head that up?
Well, I was actually gonna think, I was gonna.
I was wondering exactly how we do it, yeah. Yeah, well, I'll do something.
Cheryl always has, either she makes her own.
Yes, please. Or she might do two,
But-
maybe.
Okay,
All right, post.
Or just one, actually.
No, we need to do something.
yeah.
Posted that on Facebook?
Well, regret that he died.
Oh, okay. But for what, which one? Which Facebook did you do?
I did it for myself. I signed it for my God.
Oh, yeah. You saw it on the Roundup happenings or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I did too, I said, but still, I think something from the county.
Yeah, we need to do something.
That was my thought. Other than that, that's all I got today.
Well, thank you for keeping us moving on this thing. Gotta sign this thing. For the, I guess I missed signing the exhibit, one of the exhibits.
So, guys, while we have a break here for a minute, this is a proposed idea for a resolution. There's some, I found one thing in there already I didn't like very much, which was the end of terms of appointment of the board, which was I needed to add language to the vacancy shall be upon the death, resignation, or failure to appear at 2 consecutive meetings of the board. That way, the commission has a way, if the board isn't getting things done, and somebody isn't showing up, to get somebody new on there and keep
Yeah.
things moving.
That would be great.
The question came up though, you know, part of the power of us signing this board is we have oversight of the board. If this board becomes a 501c, we will no longer have oversight, right?
Okay, so,
She's like, you better hurry up.
Well, the 501c gets you to get grants, but I said we can get grants as a council.
so you guys can get grants as a county, and I don't see why the board would become a 501c3.
Well, it did last time.
Yeah, they did.
Well, they did last time,
Yeah,
and
but-
how'd that work?
Well, that's my point, I don't want that
Right.
to happen again.
So, this board is designed to be a county board and not become a 501c3.
Okay, very good, that's what I prefer.
They could, you know, and this board could appoint or could, you know, start a program that managed a program that was a 501c3. Right. Like, say they wanted to have somebody down there cooking lunch and, you know, doing all those things that are going on now. Yeah, that board could start that program and manage and supervise that program as a 501c3, but the board would still be yours.
Okay. Well, that's,
And
that's what I want.
I mean, in the goals of the board, right, the composition and the or the, let's see, the duties and responsibilities, you know, and I mean, I'm open to, you know, if you guys feel like I missed something here, I mean, I wrote this thing in like 45 minutes.
No, I thought it was.
I thought it was good.
Okay, you know, but, you know, what's their duty? Assess the needs of the older adults in Muscle County, develop and implement programs and services to address those needs, work with Area 2, Agency on Aging, Muscle County, other entities, groups, individuals, whatever, funds to, you know, establish funding, collaborate with local, state, and federal agencies to enhance service and delivery, work to improve the quality of life. So that's broad enough. So if they needed to form a 501c3, or they needed to, you know, have a 501c3 form to establish those goals, they can do it.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
But then they're the supervisors or they're the board members for that 501c3. And they may have a 501c3 board to run that program, but the way they're getting on that board is we're putting them on that board.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that was the idea.
Well, that's what I thought it was. I just thought, you know, so if that board says we want to form the 501c, and we oversee that board, we can say we don't want to do that.
Right.
So I think that will just, having this oversight ability will make sure that we have an active, functional board.
Well, and so I also included something in here that is a general idea that in future resolutions or if we update resolutions for boards, I think it's a good idea. And this was, I added in section 6 reporting. They report to you on a biannual basis, okay? And ideally, you'd want to stagger your boards for when they're coming in to report to the commission. But twice a year, they come in and say, hey, here's what we're doing, here's what we're up to, here's what we're working on, here's how everything's going, here's how much money we have, and here's how we're planning on using it. So you guys can go, oh, you know, that's great, or
Or what if we
what do you
want,
think?
what if we want, can we say something biannual or
As directed.
as directed?
Well, I mean, look, I think I put in the words at least.
Okay, very good, very good. This I wanted, because initially that might not be frequently enough, but ideally, we shouldn't have. No, that's excellent. But you get my point. If we can just add a word or whatever that we can say, you know what, we want to see the, Bonnet D thinks they're supposed to report their minutes every time they meet.
I think that they are.
But that's a different issue, isn't it?
Well, I think I have that in there too, that they would keep minutes and provide those to Muscle Shell County as required by state law.
You said you cover it. If you said at least or whatever, just in case we want to meet, because I can see this board us saying, we want a report, and them saying, well, we don't have to report to you till June, you know, so, until November.
Okay. Well, so I didn't have at least in there, and so, see, that's, Service County Committee meetings or at other
Or as requested by the county commission.
meetings as requested by and you'll note I also put in there reporting, you know, 'cause one of the things I wanted to establish here was that they would report and provide as requested, like whatever Area 2 Council on Aging wants, since they're getting so much potentially money from them. Like, basically it says, you know, hey, look, you shall report and provide as requested by Area 2 Council on Aging, any information, you know, funding serves, which is a nice way of saying, whatever they want, they get,
Yeah,
and you get
yeah.
it for them. Hoot scoop, right, quick,
Yeah.
damn
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
And I think that will also, having the board formed that way will also assist if Area 2 Council on Aging is cutting their funding and now that money's sitting out there, we can sit up and say, hey, we want that funding if we're trying to set up a program. And by the way, here's the requirement that they are completely and totally responsible to us and to you for oversight. And I think that'll make it a lot more likely that Area 2, our Agency on Aging, will then keep that money flowing so we can keep these necessary programs going. That was the idea.
Okay.
I mean, but by all means, go
No, I
through there
think
and do a bunch of writing on there, give me your thoughts, and
would this
I'll
be
try to
what we
think-
put in the paper?
well, I don't know, that's why.
Or similar, so we have the resolution we're gonna write, just with a couple of edits, because actually I think this is really good. But what are we gonna say? Maybe we can say the Wassail County is looking to establish county board on aging,
Mhm.
and then just list this board, looking for board members, and somehow list these are the requirements of the board? Or do we want to say, I'm not sure what to say.
I think that we have one that's, because I
Yeah.
think you have to age requirements or stuff that were listed on the requirements to sit on the board. I think we have one, I could go by the
I
past.
don't know.
Well, I would start, but through, I guess maybe, it's not necessarily appropriate to list these requirements, it's more just basically saying, will be, but you gotta kind of describe what the board's gonna be responsible for.
Well, I mean, you could do duties and responsibilities of the board.
Or you could.
Advertise the duties and responsibilities of the board, that, you know, here's what we're looking to have you do. And then if they think they're interested in that, then we can hit them with the secondary requirements of the board later on when they're applying to be on the board, or come in and interview with you guys to be placed on the board.
But on the duties and responsibilities of the board, right here, bingo, number 4 is what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's really all you need to do, but you might start it off with your very first paragraph. The older act was instituted in response, whereas must shall recognize the importance of, and then we're trying to establish a board, see the duties of the board.
yeah. But please, write on this thing, make edits, make corrections, make things you'd like to see on it. And I'll do what I can to make it flow, and I can also look at that and go, yeah, you don't wanna have that in the resolution. We need to have it in the bylaws, right? And the board will make the bylaws.
Okay. Well, at first glance, other than just being able to have them report more frequently, I think you covered it really well. But we'll.
I'm sure I missed something. Like I said, I only spent 45 minutes or an hour on it.
Yeah, but that's at that high rate, so
Yeah,
that's a powerful hour, my God.
it was a powerful hour, and I don't want you guys to get overly excited that I'm always gonna be able to come up with something this fast.
My kids love this.
Because nobody came in and interrupted me with anything the whole time I was in there and working on it.
Well, they're also responsible to hire a director.
And then say, and the board will be subordinate to the director.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I very specifically didn't put that in there.
Yeah.
Because they were required to set up programs,
All the legal.
Yeah.
right? Which could include getting a director and setting up a 501c3 or something to run this.
Yeah, telling the board how to manage the deliverable is maybe where they screwed up before.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I tried to be purposefully vague there to give them a lot of
Can I get this
opportunities to right
scanned
off the
and
bat.
sent to me?
You sure can.
What are they gonna hire a director for? because there hasn't been any default on the loan for that bit, or the lease for that building or anything else. So initially, what are we concerned with? We're concerned with this board applying for the funds from Area 2 Agency on Aging, okay, and then hooking up with the hospital and reaching some kind of a financial agreement so that people who are shut-ins can continue to eat while we get the rest of this sorted out. And then, gosh, I bet if they went and talked to the Area 2 Agency on Aging and said, okay, we've got this part done and taken care of. Now we want to start offering these services we had before. Gosh, do you guys have any idea on structure or how we should do that? I bet agents, or Area 2 Agency on Aging said, you know what, as a matter of fact, we've got some great ideas for you, and this is probably what you can do within your budget. I mean,
Now, so right now, I guess service is interrupted.
I don't know.
I'm hearing they're not
I
fully.
think Marcy had,
I don't know.
was talking about, you know,
Well,
they can go get a meal at a restaurant. Yeah, the senior then, and she's worked with the hospital to get the shut-ins a meal, so. I think she's got
that part of it is taken care of. I don't know, then she might have what you're saying about being able to cover you if you go to the restaurant, but that's not notified on the door, because that's what,
I'm gonna send this proposed resolution to Marcy as well, and have her look at it and tell us what she thinks. I styled this resolution partially with my own crafting. I'm not gonna lie, I also borrowed some from Billings and from Bozeman, because those are large, wealthy counties with more money than sense. And I figured that they had the resources and time to go through and kind of develop a plan to deal with their area agency on aging to accomplish the same goal we're trying to accomplish here on a smaller level.
You know, that one in Baker, when we were at the meeting, I asked them, oh, they have a meal one day a week, Sunday.
no, the house. That was a nice little facility they had.
A lot nicer than ours.
Should I talk to you guys about a raise?
Sure.
Perfect timing.
Would you like to go to lunch with us?
I'll go.
Well, yeah.
You know, the last person that, I like the whole story of the guy that came into my dad's office and said, how come I don't make as much money as this guy? And my dad said, because you're fired. Now get out of my office. That's, I almost said
Except
it.
you guys
Yeah, so he
can't.
wants to fire.
Except you guys can't fire. It's statutorily.
You're right, that's why I didn't say it.
I only have to show up for work one day a month. I mean, you guys are getting like, bonus service.
We appreciate it.
That's right, forget what I just said.
How's your wife doing, Commissioner Goff?
Oh,
She's doing okay? Holy cow, man, that was a dinger.
she can't.
Wow.
She can't hurry or we can.
Yeah.
Now she just shuts it off.
She's obviously a tough chick. She's put up with you for quite some time.
Obviously.
This
You
was
know,
my
how many
understanding
kids?
of the timeline for the,
That was a
when
shocker.
I do the budget stuff.
Okay.
Sure
It was
was.
in that PowerPoint.
I said, well, if you're smart, you'll take workman's comp and take a month off. Then she went in, she finished the dinner. They didn't want to cook. She said, no, I'm fine.
I don't think she thought it was funny when I was talking about a civil lawsuit. See, she has to understand the truth and what actually happened has nothing to do with the civil lawsuit. You know?
You can craft them any way you want.
Yeah. She didn't think that was funny at all. I thought it was good. I was cracking myself up.
She went to Lewistown for the annual meeting of the area. Sounds area too. Agency on aging.
That's gonna be one hell of a meeting today.
Boy,
That's today.
Yeah.
is that why nobody's been here yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're.
We'll have to send them a thank you note for having their meeting on Friday then.
No, she's up there by proxy. 'Cause I was supposed to come on that never gone because it's on Friday. They always have the meetings on Friday. So I had to point somebody on the board.
Well, you should,
I love reading.
you know, I mean, you should go up, you know, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
We can live without you for a week now and again.
I don't know. Can't take that chance. Why not be back?
Well, if your wife's going to that meeting, who's gonna buy lunch?
Yeah.
Me, I'm buying lunch today.
Can I just ask, I kind of did a one-liner of what you guys
Yes.
were talking about. Muscle shall count, that you advise the commission on the duties of overseeing county boards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well. The only contention with that senior center is because they were a 501c, they applied for grants. They own the stove and refrigerator, and a couple other things in that kitchen. And that's why they say the county can't use them, because the county don't own them. Now, I said, well, it was a grant, it wasn't their money, and it's in our building, so it's kind of a gray area there.
I wouldn't think it's gray, I think it's a fixture, and if you look at laws regarding
That's-
fixtures,
That's the reason.
You know, it's funny, because I was just thinking the same thing, that if they default on their lease, that's a fixture of the
That's
building
right.
and it has to remain there.
that's right. Mm-hmm.
I was,
Ha,
No?
I wasn't gonna say it aloud, but I was sitting there thinking,
That's a
can't wait for that
fixture.
one to come up, I'll get an opportunity to look smart as shit.
like, that's not true.
That's our excuse for not letting anybody use the kitchen.
Well, it's a wrong excuse.
Yeah.
Ben's on it.
They would be better off to say that for health reasons, and because it needs to be maintained to a certain standard of cleanliness, we're gonna decline to let other groups or organizations use the kitchen because it might inhibit our ultimate goal of providing these meals to seniors. That's what I would have said.
Is there requirements in the state of Montana for certain vaccinations or something for care
I
work,
don't-
health work, for
well,
food workers?
You
Like
know,
hepatitis
I don't
B or-
know if there is or not. Oh, have you ever seen the kitchen in a large city? Like
Oh,
who's
yeah.
working in there? They're all pre-releasers. So.
Oh, I know.
I mean, those guys have diseases that haven't been diagnosed by modern medicine yet.
You're right. I was just wondering, because I know that's how it was in Missouri, that you had to have certain, like, screenings, tuberculosis, and you had to have hepatitis, hepatitis B vaccine?
Possibly. You know, but I mean, the health considerations and keeping it up to the standard required by the sanitarium, it would be an appropriate reason to not let somebody into like a kitchen where it's preparing food for communal gatherings.
They have the rules.
But maybe they could provide an employee then, and make it, and like charge for it. But it was sad because I think that the kids just for the dance wanted to, have just some refreshments.
Right.
They weren't allowed to do so.
Or an employee could be hired
Yes.
and paid by the organization to appear for that night.
Right.
Because I did a bunch of those. It was post prom, it was the after prom party and the after snowball dance party and all those. And I mean, we didn't give them. I mean, they couldn't get like anything they wanted, but I mean, we make them bags of popcorn.
Sure.
Waffles were like a really big seller for some reason.
Well, that's great.
We had like a waffle machine. We made them waffles and then like chili and chips.
Right.
Right. And then as much pop as they could drink. And then we had a bunch of activities there for them. So, and the idea was to give them a place to go to kind of continue having a party.
Yep.
That didn't involve going out and drinking or smoking or otherwise getting
For your
pregnant.
babies.
I mean,
Good rules.
it was, well, and I mean, it was fun. I mean, I helped supervise that thing for a couple of years, and I mean, some people would bring in old game stations and new ones, like, I mean, and boy, those little buggers, they, can't remember, there was an N64 there, and some kid was or a couple of them were talking a lot of junk about how they were gonna beat up on me at, James Bond, GoldenEye, and Mario Kart, and I just
That's
wiped the
great.
floor with them. I mean, it was brutal, and then We had another one year we had a laser tag set up. And so these kids show up after prom. I mean, it was really fun, right? And they lost their prom outfits, right? And they were showing up in like pajamas or
That's
sweats
great.
or jeans or whatever. And this girl, she was just absolutely darling, but they were freshmen. And her makeup was still all done and her hair was absolutely beautiful and she's there with her boyfriend. And I couldn't get anybody to play laser tag. Like everyone was too cool for it. And I'm like, yeah, so this is the thing, this is how it works. I come up like, I don't know. I'm like, you look so nice. Did you spend like a lot of money getting your hair done? Yeah. Was your dress expensive? Yeah. Makeup, did that take a long time? Yeah. I'm like, how much did he pay? Well, he bought tickets. For like what, $25? Do you want to shoot him? Because here's your chance, come on. And then they went in.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Good play.
I don't think you have anything, and your lunchtime is ticking, so.
When we go to the